Games without a clean sheet, and then along came Ipswich. Absolutely depressing, dire stuff. It's time to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to go. Pack your bags, Paul. You're not welcome anymore. I'll bring in Steve. I'll bring in Neil. Before I go any further, a huge thank you to all those who have contributed to the show on the Talking Town Hall of Fame. I will drop the link in the chat should you wish to join those ranks. We have had some new names this evening, so thank you ever so much. I can see the comments are flying in. This is the full-time show. For those that have maybe are tuning in for the first time, a shock or horror, you should have been here every single week, because we are. But this is your part of the show. This is where I hand it over to you. I hand over to Neil, to Steve, and of course you guys at home to have what you want to say about this. What do you feel about Ipswich Town? Are you depressed? Are you upset? Is it time to go for Paul? Maybe you're thinking, it's a point. We're turning the corner here. I don't know. It's your opinion. You can have it any way you want.
No such thing as a bad point on the road.
No, I can see some people have already asked for the link, so I'll just make sure they get the link to come on the show. If you do want to come on the show, just ask for the link. So what do you guys feel on the show, first and foremost? Steve, Neil says there, no second thing is a bad point. Tongue in cheek, I think. What did you think?
It was bollocks. Towards the end, I just didn't care. You know, that's all you need to say. No, it was crap. There was no attacking threat. There was shambles at the back. There was nothing. There was no standout performer. No noticeable performance from anyone. It was just boring. It was miserable. It was dull. It was tedious. He's got to go.
Yes, time to go. Time to go. Reece Curtis, Oxford's first clean sheet of the season tonight.
And that's it. They've kept a clean sheet all season. Of course. No, they haven't, sorry. And of course they would tonight, that's what I meant, sorry.
Captain Carone, what a load of crap. Shamba out, not good enough. Trevor Arben, probably the easiest game Oxford will have all season. 5 changes, same old. Stat, of course, we had on the screen a second ago, but he says we are not turning the corner. No, I completely agree with that. And Facebook user, doesn't matter what we think, Lambert is Evans' main, or Evans' man. Ben, in front of an absolutely beautiful Christmas tree. Look at you.
It took ages to take up, and it was a really laborious process, but it was still more fun than the 90 minutes I just watched. I tell you, it was. It's funny. Usually during the game, I sit there with a notepad and a pen, and I kind of write down the points I want to talk about. I couldn't even be bothered to get up. It was like, you know, when you get so drunk that you just stare at a wall and you can't move. That's kind of what tonight did with me. And I'll tell you what, if everyone an example of a first team that has stopped playing for a manager, there you have it in 90 minutes. You know, that you should show school kids that is what happens when you don't follow a manager. That he has lost that dressing room. Not a single player, I think, on there, with the exception perhaps of, I thought McGavin was fairly solid. But as you just said, you know, that they can't keep a clean sheet, and, you know, up we pop.
It had the game had the atmosphere of, and obviously there's no fans there, so it's hard, but it had the feeling, not the atmosphere, the feeling of any other game under Paul Jewell, Roy Keane, McCarthy, sort of the end of the time. Do you know what I mean? That real.
Do you know what? You're absolutely. That's such a bang on comment. And I've got this funny feeling that because Evans was there tonight apparently, so I read somewhere he was actually there tonight. I've got this. I don't know if it's a hopeful feeling that we'll be getting an announcement either tonight or tomorrow, because I think him putting on Dobra was a final kind of fuck you. So you see, he's not as good as you all think he is. And I don't want any criticism of Dobra tonight, because that's a man who can't even get in the squad on a weekly basis, and to suddenly throw him on the first team and expect him to do really well is unrealistic. You know, Jackson comes on, he's not been playing, he gets a lot of leeway, I think, and he's rusty. He was rusty tonight. I just, the only good thing tonight was there's no more long-term injuries. Okay, we've lost
Andre for a game.
Yeah, Andre for a game. Which means Judge will slip straight back in there. But I'm not even angry tonight. I'm apathetic, and that was always the thing I was worried about. I was fired up at the weekend. I was passionate and angry. Now I just don't care because the season's already gone. That went arguably 2 games ago. I'd say it went. So the season's now right off. So it's a question of what we do to rebuild or reform.
We've played 15 games, Ben. You can't write it off after 15 games.
Can you not?
We said the same thing. Okay, do you, after tonight, after the last few weeks, and there's some dark arts happening at Ipswich right now. This is not just the crap performances on the field. There's a lot of stuff going on, backstage, and the Phil Ham, the TWTD, all these different things. There's bad things going on right now, and that's usually the sign that something terrible is happening. I've usually got. I'm coming on almost without a point. I try and.
Okay, Ben. I'll ask you this.
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
You've been critical of Jack Lancaster in the past, so I'll ask you this. I've got Benjamin waiting. I've got Luke waiting. I'll ask you this. Armando Dobra. What did you make of his performance this evening? And compare those to your thoughts on Jack Lancaster and the academy.
Well, I can't really compare them. I mean, Dobra can't even get in the squad for most of the season, so I don't think you can put him even on the same standard as Lancaster, who has been. You can't just turn up from absolutely being out in the cold to a starting 11 from one week to the next and expect anything from them. I don't dislike Lancaster. I've never said I dislike him.
No, I know.
I said he's no better or worse than anybody else that we have. But because he comes from the academy, he gets a lot of leeway. Lancaster, I until he went off, I didn't really know he was on the pitch. But again, I share that with everybody else because everyone else is in the same boat. I did think we looked a little bit better with 2 up front. I think Marcus Stewart said it. It just gives us a different way to score a goal. Hawkins, for the few minutes he had, I actually thought he did pretty well. But that's because he's playing in a 2. Don't forget when people criticise that guy, he's usually playing, he's either not a striker or the sole striker. That's not his job. But he's playing alongside someone tonight. And I tell you what, there's a couple of little shoots of possible optimism there. A couple of good layoffs. He thought he held the ball up well. Because he's playing with somebody else. But we all know that the next game, that will go back to, 1 up front again. So
no, that's fair enough. All right, Ben.
I've got nothing. I'll let someone else. I've got nothing more to say than I'm just bored, apathetic. What can we do? 2020.
I think we've raised the bar, though, on Christmas
2020.
trees. I think those that have got Christmas trees in shot now need to have up their game because you've upped it, you've set the bar.
That's all down to my wife. That is, I take no responsibility.
Well, I did guess that. I'm going to be honest. I did guess it.
So yeah.
I did think it wouldn't be your handiwork, Ben. Sorry. Enjoy, Luke. Welcome in. Oh, Luke, first time. I'm glad you could join us. So, 0-0 away at Oxford, who've won 3 games all year. First clean sheet in 18. Good point, bad point. Lambert got to go. What do you think?
I think any point away from home is always a good point. I don't think you could ever moan, but
is that you, Mick?
I think, but yeah, he should have been gone. He's never been the right man, as far as I'm concerned. Like even when
never been the right man.
Never. Like even I always thought I was fully behind Hurts being sacked. He wasn't right in the head. Let's be honest, but I never thought he was the right person. He's basically been a failure everywhere he's been since Norwich, really.
Yeah.
And you can see the same signs of him going now. He always does it. He puts people under the bats, throws them under the bats.
Yeah.
And it's happening again. And the telltale signs are all there again. And it's like Ben was saying, the club is a mess from top to bottom. Like
it is. It really is.
Like you can be against Lambert, like I am, but the bigger problems like Jet Lambert, the whole my father was saying the couples would be turning in their grave. How the club is being run at the moment.
Bigger problems than Lambert, Neil. Do you agree?
100% goes
What?
way beyond Lambert.
What are those bigger problems? Fill me in, guys. Give me some meat on those bones.
Well,
Where do
I
you
think
start?
it's been mentioned before, from recruitment to training to just any decision made behind the scenes. It's a bad one. Someone put a comment saying, basically, who's doing our scouting? I don't think anyone is, because our club doesn't seem to know anything about anyone. So
It's true.
It's pretty shambolic. Like, I think Lee O'Neill is not a guy, but he's totally out of his depth.
Well,
Like,
Lee O'Neill this morning said full confidence in Paul Lambert, Luke.
yeah, but we all know that cliche. That's a dreaded vote of confidence.
Is that
But
what you
normally-
truly view it as, though? Do you think it is, or do you think actually they
You can never really
believe it?
tell if it's it, can you? Like, this would be a classic Marcus Evans thing to give him a load more time, but I don't know. The only thing I'd say, he did get sacked from football manager about this time, so so the only thing I will say. So
Well, that's something to look forward to.
that's
So we've
my,
got a
that's,
point. We've got
that's
a
my
point tonight.
gospel. So
Yes, it is your gospel. You're right. We've got a point tonight, Luke. How about Saturday? Do you think we can build on it, or do you think actually it doesn't matter while he's in charge, we're not winning a game of football again?
I agree with Ben. Sir. They're not playing for him anymore. That's pretty obvious. No one in that team is playing for him. Like, I mean, you can never say never in football because football's strange, but it's hard to see how they can win a game playing like they are. They're not. It'd be better if they were playing alright but losing. That's slightly better, but they're not even playing well. They're
No.
playing like a mixed team. I'm sorry. No matter what you say, Vix is one of the better teams in the League One. Like,
It's
not
certainly a top
not
six
great.
side. It's better than
It's easier.
Oxford's.
Yeah, a top 6 side. Like,
Yeah.
and any manager could do a better job, I think.
Yeah.
How are we ever going to get a result if we can't beat a team like Oxford that have 3 wins all season? They haven't kept a clean sheet all season. How are we ever going to get a decent result against teams with a better record than that? If we can't beat a team that's on that run of form, it's just there's a hopeless feeling to it at the minute. Unless, what if Lambert goes? The feeling probably change, but like we were saying earlier, the problems go way beyond Lambert.
I'm not
So
sure
much
if
that needs
they've-
changing.
they've stopped playing for Lambert, or whether they're just doing what he told them to do, because they weren't any more shambolic tonight than they have been the last 5 games I've watched.
There were
Really?
a couple more positives tonight, I think, but not
Was there?
many.
Just
I'll be honest.
Well,
I
it's
just
just
play
playing it
Football
around
Manager,
the
so-
back. It's always negative. If anything, we're more positive tonight. We tried more
One shot
forward
on
passes.
target.
Yeah,
that's
I'm not on about shots on target, but the fact that we normally end up having shitloads of possession because we're playing it amongst our centre backs.
Fair
But
enough.
you can match position if you want. If you don't score goals, you're not going to win football matches.
Yep, absolutely. Luke, we
Like-
appreciate you. I've got loads waiting, 4 now waiting. Hopefully you'll come back to us on Saturday. Hopefully.
Well, probably. If you let them play football manager, probably.
Good man. Good man. We'll see you Saturday. Wake me up, please. Oh, it's you. Us, right? As you're here,
Yeah.
I've got something here. It says, no pattern of play, no game plan, utter rubbish. Do you agree with that?
It's what I've been
100%.
saying every week.
Well, I think we all have, haven't we? Let's be honest. Well, all us Lambert out fans, shall we say? But
He's
yeah,
got to go.
I had a bit of time this afternoon, and I'm in my kitchen on my laptop tonight, so I got free hands and all that. I had a little bit today, so I thought I'd have a little bit of a research on how Evans has done with our club. Do you know we've only spent between 35 and 40 million pounds since Evans took over in 2007, and do you know we've actually sold between 45 and 50 million pounds worth of players?
That's appalling.
Yeah,
Not a surprise, though, is it?
Shocking.
that is straight from 2 websites that pretty much match up, give or take a few thousand. But and then the worst thing was, which I found a real shocker, was in 2013, 2012-2013 season, we had 17 loanees in, and people wonder where the money's going from Lambert. from Evans. The money is just, they talk about yeah, go on.
Those loans, though, Mike, that can be accounted to what we're almost about to experience here, can it not? Because let's face it, his time is up, right? He's going to go. He's going to go at some point.
Yeah.
If he goes tomorrow, does your new manager not get 4 to 6 loan players in January?
I think that's dependent on whether we have like players back, whether we have any fit players back from the sort of. I mean, let's be honest. There is probably 8 or 9 first teamers out, but it's still the same old rubbish, isn't it? It's still still a formation wrong. When we kind of had 2 more up front, we looked a lot more threatening. Why aren't we starting like that? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. I just can't get my head around it. I mean, since Evans has took over, 87 loan players have come into this club. And probably like Murphy, a few others I can think of, and I think to myself, look at some of the players we've let go on a free. Damien Delaney, he went to Palace, became Premier League player.
He did.
Ledbetter. I know we all, let's be honest, we did give him a bit of stick, but he had a few good games and then went on to do really well. Made it into the Premier League as well, didn't he? Went on a free. McGoldrick playing in the Premier League, and that's just to name 3. The loanees or the money that's in. When Keane came in and we spent that like nearly £9 million on players to try and get us into the Premier League. Yeah, the following season we sold £8.1 million in players.
But as Leandro pointed out in the chat, Mike, wages.
Oh God, yeah.
It's a fair point. Paying good money on wages. Wage bill is still fairly high.
Wasting money on wages, shall we say? Loanees, they cost. We have to pay a percentage of their wages, don't we? Yeah. There's no 2 ways about that.
No.
Not enough of our youth players have come through. So is that another part of our money being used and wasted?
But is he not chasing bad after bad after bad? So he's made. So somebody put it out in the chat here. It's all gone downhill since Jim got sacked. So he sacks Jim. Bad decision. He appoints Roy. Bad decision. He appoints Paul. Bad decision. He appoints Mick. Then he doesn't invest in January with Mick. Bad decision.
Yeah.
Every time he makes a bad decision, he then tries to he has to compound that with a new manager, a new set of players, which in turn leads to more bad decisions. Is he just not now in that circle, that negativity circle, where he's just constantly chasing his own tail like a dog because he's bad decision after bad decision?
When you've got people involved that don't really know much about football, you are going to make bad decisions, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? You're going to make bad decisions, and that's the problem with Lambert. We should have invested. He should have invested in Mick McCarthy that season when we made the playoffs. We were lucky to make the playoffs. Only fact that Derby lost, I think it was, and that we made the playoffs. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
and okay,
it was. Yeah, Darren Bent, Agent Bent, missing a penalty.
Exactly. Exactly. But the thing is, like you say, with Evans, given, what I can't think of another manager another owner that would give a manager like Shambert or Scambert or whatever you want to call him, 5-year deal based on
Lambert.
All right. Oh, sorry.
It's my name, darling.
Not you. I'm talking about Paul Lambert. You're Lambert.
Benjamin. Mike is blaming Marcus Evans. Purely Marcus Evans.
Yeah, look, first of all, that was abysmal. As I said before the game, the starting lineup reeked of desperation. And yeah, Marcus Evans does have to take a bit of responsibility because, he's the one who's made all of these appointments, with the help of Harry Redknapp, because Harry Redknapp helped him decide some of the managers. But yeah, Marcus Evans' tenure at Ipswich has been awful. Maybe not awful, but he's barely put anything into the club. As you said, should have put more into the club during the 14-15 season. So yeah, words kind of fail me. This is the first time I've ever come on and I've actually struggled to come up with a logical explanation in regards to how we played, because that was awful out there.
Yeah, it was. It really was. But what made it so awful? We can all blame Evans.
Formation.
Mike's a formation king. He loves a good 3-5.
But it's clear to everyone and fans all around. Yeah, most of us on here can all see that 4-3-3 doesn't work because you end up playing
No, it does not.
4-4-1, and we end up with one up front, and that's something what happened again in the first half. We looked abysmal. We flooded the midfield, and they outbattled us in the midfield. Let's be honest. Our first half was abysmal, and we made them look better than they probably really are. But when we started putting more pressure on their back line, we looked like we might actually nick it. But that's the problem. Lambert has got this thing in his head that we can't play 4-4-2, we can't play 3-5-2, we can only play 4-3-3 or 4-5-1. And that's the problem. That's why Lambert needs to go, because he's not listening. Well, he's not, I don't know what he's listening to. I'm lost for words because that.
Ben, Mike makes a great point there about how he put more pressure on their back line. But isn't that because the calibre of player increased? Like, no disrespect to Aaron Dryden, he's not Caden Jackson.
I mean, look, we were poor at finishing, lost possession often, gave away too many free kicks, and were caught offside far too often. And against teams like Oxford, they weren't good at all. We should really be nicking these games. Now, Oxford should have been an easy win. For some reason, Lambert thought it would be a good idea to start Nolan, who was out of shape. How was he given the give-go to start? Bennett's looked awful, and unfortunately, I actually praised Wolfenden last week. But Wolfenden, I thought he looked really nervous tonight. He had
far too much pressure on the team. Far too much pressure on the players. I said at the beginning of the game, players don't need to have any pressure because it's not their jobs on the line. It's Lambert's, and to have no shots on target until the 90 where we had a header on the goal. I mean, that just sums up everything that you need to say about the formation with regards to what Lambert's doing and how he's operating this team. Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, if we'd have nicked it tonight, we would probably still feel a little bit deflated. That's the thing. We would have still felt deflated, even though we would have won the game. But the fact we've come away with a bore draw, it just sums us up as a club. And the way things are being run. How Lambert can keep his job, I don't know. The guy's embarrassment. He needs to go.
Ben? Agree?
I mean, there was a question that came up there. Who else could have played instead of Nolan? I mean, Dobra, I would have started in midfield, but then would that have given us a balance? But that is a good question, because you have to, and I'm not standing up for Lambert, you have to give him a bit of slack in regards to how many injuries he's had. But he's a manager. He should be the one who's getting these players motivated. Most of these players who are coming in anyway are better than our opposition. So, on the other hand, there's no excuses. But as I said,
Is it Lambert, though? Is it Lambert, though? Is Lambert part of the problem along with his assistants? I mean, they're the ones that, are giving him advice as the game's going on.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's interesting what you said there, because when Lambert was at Norwich, Culverhouse was very much the tactician and Lambert was very much the motivator. Stuart Taylor, what is he? What does he bring to the back room? I think Matt Gill, or he would have been the better assistant manager in my opinion.
I've got a comment here from Ian Barron, who says, "Hi guys, I'm a Darlington fan. We were made bankrupt in 2011, reformed in 2012, and I've had 3 promotions and currently a fan-owned National League North club. We were demoted 4 leagues." I think that's a little bit of words of wisdom, a little bit of words of comfort, rather, there in regards to Evans. How can Evans turn this around, Mike and Ben? How can he turn this? How can he win back fan approval, and how can he turn this around?
I don't think he can. I think it's too late. Founders have been more or less Marcus out for years, if that makes sense. In my opinion, he just has to stay quiet. Bring in a new manager, pray that the new manager does well, gets promoted. And maybe things will change from there. But in my opinion, he can't. There are far worse owners out there than Marcus Evans. Charlton, their owner was far worse than Marcus. But I don't think there's any way back for him in regards to whether he can win back the faith of us fans.
And is there a way back for Paul Lambert before I bring Mike in?
No, definitely not. I'm sick and tired of his football. The thing is, we could go on a streak and win 1-0 every game. That would not change my opinion on Paul Lambert. His football is abysmal. Instead of passing forward, we literally pass back to the goalkeeper. There's no positivity, no creativity. Players like Keenan Bennett, who should really be the creative sparks of our teams, are literally being made to look like headless chickens. It's stupid.
Okay.
Words fail me.
Mike, can Marcus Evans turn this around first and foremost?
He could turn his season around by getting rid of Lambert. I think there's managers out there that could do look at their past record when it concerns their formations and the way they play their teams. I think there is managers out there that could come in and put, and help these youngsters, get different. Stuart Taylor for me offers nothing except a gob on the sidelines. That's every time I've sat in a family stand behind the dugout and listened to him with my brother or my son, and he's just it's either that or it's that in the assistant's ear. How about shutting up and letting the boys play? That's the fundamentals of coaching anyway, isn't it? Surely.
Well, yeah. If you've done your job good enough on a Monday to Friday basis, you shouldn't need little input. They should know.
Well, that's FA standard. I'm I'm coach, but that's FA standard. All your training is the most important part. You can't actually then really influence too much when you put them on the pitch. But if your players are not happy, they're not happy with that formation. You can see it. They look like Ben rightly said. They're running. Some of them are running around like headless chickens. It's an embarrassment. Oh, I can't get my head around it. I'm looking forward to Thursday night.
I won't ask you in regards to can Paul Lambert turn it around, because that's just ridiculous asking you that question. That's like asking Johnny Rotten if the Queen should stay as head of state. But Johnny Duncan, I'll ask you. Maybe I shouldn't have asked Johnny either. Can Paul Lambert turn this around? What a disaster that was. Oh no.
He'd have a hard job turning a rowing boat round on a boat lake, mate. he doesn't know his arse from his elbow. It's so right. The facts. Take tonight. I think tonight was quite an important game for Lambert to say, all right, the club has listened. We are shit. I am doing a shit job. You're all pissed off. Let's go out there and show them really what we're made of. He set us out again negatively. There was a goalkeeper in that goal last night. Tonight, sorry. Inexperienced. It was his first game, and what do? He was having a laugh, wasn't he?
We gave him a word search and said, "Put your feet up, son."
Well, it just bothers me, how often have you known me to be lost for words, Martin?
Not often. I have to be honest.
The bloke.
I'm shocked by you all, really, because you're all
clueless. He's clueless, and the fact, Leo Neal come out tonight and said, "Yeah, we're behind Paul," blah, blah. And it's the same old spiel he's been given to spew out. And I said it on the socials. I truly believe that Marcus Evans is such a businessman. He's following a perfect model in his mind, and I think there's a caveat in Paul Lambert's 5-year contract that this year he'll be given this year, but we must get promotion. And if we do not get promotion, then I think there will be a clause in that contract that we can release him without paying him any money. But unfortunately, that takes us to the fact that, or the point that we would have to be out of touch with the playoffs for him to be fired, to go with no money. And then by that time, our season's gone and we lose our best young players, and then we go again. We start again, and another manager has to come in, and we're just going backwards.
Or, okay, and I'll ask you all this question, and don't forget, guys watching, you can get involved still in the chat box, or come on the show, just ask for the link, as Simon Harris has just done here, to get out of any league and experience throughout the spine of the team. We haven't got that. I'll ask you guys a quick question. Leo Neal, interesting comments today, whether you liked them, whether you didn't. Interesting time to come out and say them. Obviously, fans are returning in a matter of weeks. Do you think, once the fans are back inside, be it 2,000, 4,000 or 10,000, whatever it may be, obviously it will start at 2, do you think now's the time they start to look at other managers available in the market? Because the pressure can start to be ramped up, whereas while fans weren't in, they're not bothered.
Again, if we're looking now, Ipswich are doing it too late. They should already have a list of players a list of managers that the man who should be the next one should already be chosen. And if he says no, you've got the next one on the list. They should already have their decision. If we're now starting to look out there, it's too late.
It is because, Neil said it. Sunderland are going to be looking for a manager. That's potentially Cook gone.
Is that who you'd want then, Johnny? Cook?
Well,
I'd want him.
Is there many managers out there that you think that could go in there and kick some of them experienced players that, let's be honest, are taking a piss up the arse and say, I'm the boss round here, you ain't. Okay? And I think some of them need it. They're cruising. And you know, I mean, there's been this all this talk behind the scenes that, you know, the power of Chambers and his little WhatsApp groups with the players, and you know, if a manager upsets him, then Chambers, it's almost like I'm going to stop to play. We're going to stop playing for him, and we'll get him the boot. You know, and you need someone to go in there and to wipe that out. And I actually think Paul Hurst tried to do that, but unfortunately, the results didn't go his way to get the fans on side, and he ended up getting just sent down the road. It's difficult. I mean, because I know that, you know, what do we do? I mean, a manager comes in, he's only got them players to work with. But I truly believe this. I truly believe the same as the other callers. You know, we can. Them players we've got fit can be set out a lot better to look more attacking. Even if you play a long ball, right? Even if you go back to the ball and Mick McCarthy hoof. I'm not saying you do that every time you attack, you do that. You just mix it up. You do it every now and again. If you can play a long ball from the back and have two players up front, they jump to try and win the ball. Hawkins, if anything he can do is get his head on the ball and knock it down to someone. And then you've got some midfield set up. I mean, when you're passing out from the back, you're stretching your formation as it is. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you need to bunch up to the halfway line and get all your players over the halfway line to launch something long, to actually get in the final third. It's like, it's pulling teeth. It's taken us forever to get in the final third, Martin. Forever. And when we get there, we're clueless.
Yeah, we are. But there's no plan. There's no plan A. There's no plan B. There's no plan C. There's no plan at all across this board, Mike. There's nothing.
Well, there's a few things that seem to happen. Our players drop off very quickly. We're not a very pressing side. Amount of times I saw them have throw-ins and they had a free man to throw a ball to. Why? And just the fact that we'll do a little bit of passing around, we'll then pass it backwards, and then it will be that aimless hump long. Like you say, even if you did the Mick McCarthy and done the long pass, at least back then the pass would actually be aimed on doing something rather than just get the ball up the pitch.
Yeah, there would be shirts up there to receive it, wouldn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, Mick McCarthy's style of play was what I like to call 50% ball, because it was always playing for the 50-50 knockdowns. It was always long ball, yes, but it was always, well, Murph will go up, he'll win it 9 times out of 10 or 5 times out of 10, but for the other 5, I've got players around Murph that will then go and compete and win. And
exactly.
We've often pinned opposition teams back. So while it was long, it was effective, but it was also pretty at times. And long ball can be a pretty ball. Look, we know.
I remember watching Sky, and there was no point that season where we actually had a good peak. The amount of times I watched on Sky, and it was the worst football I've ever imagined.
But you won the
game. It was only because of our league position that we actually made it on Sky.
Hey,
other than that, all we did was just get insulted by Sky pundits the whole time because it was shambolic. It was awful. It was embarrassing. And if anything, we've just continued. This club is still embarrassing.
We know people watch this show in the club. We know people watch this show. So you've each got a platform now to say what you want to say to the football club, to Marcus Evans, to Paul Lambert. Keep it clean. Keep it. Opinions are always welcome, but try and keep it, a certain lid on it. Obviously, say what you're going to say to the, to the club. What is it you want them to know right now as you sit here on a Tuesday night, 0-0 after Oxford? Johnny, you go first.
You just don't want to give me a lot of time to think about it, did you?
No, I didn't know.
to get all my swear words all queued up. No,
my lawyer's in my ear saying don't give him long.
I'm saying change now. Before it's too late. You know, while there is or managers out there available to come in before they're snapped up by the Celtics, before they're snapped up by the Sunderlands, you know, make the change now. And I actually do believe that Marcus Evans would have already been putting the feelers out. There's no way he hasn't. And I'm saying, just do it now, please, before this season is gone.
Okay.
That's all I'd say.
Ben?
First of all, look, I come from a family, full of season ticket holders. My grandfather was a season ticket holder. My dad, but I moved down to Cornwall about, I'd say, 8 years ago. But every year, I try to attend at least 12 games. I try to come up as loyally as possible. I still love my club. Yet now, at the moment, should the grounds open again, should they open as if they were back to normal, I don't want to go up. I don't want to travel 12 hours to Ipswich just to watch Paul Lambert's football, and I'm from the area. That's basically the point that we've come to now. It's the football. For me, it isn't Paul Lambert. It's the style of football, and it needs to change. We need to have a manager who can motivate the players, who can motivate the younger players without segregating them. Again, like, words fail, man. I think words have basically failed everybody tonight. You know, like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Mike? What are you going to say to the club, to Paul, to Mark?
Paul, do yourself a favour, mate. Walk, because no disrespect, fella. You've had your time. You know, we had your nice Lambo poster up. You had your bit of moment of fame. You played for the Champions League and all that. Great, fantastic. You won your league. You got your medals and all that. Now it's time to go, mate. Evans, you've got to find another manager. The football's bad. You know, if there had been fans there tonight, if there had been fans in the ground the last 5, 6, 7 games, he would have been booed off that pitch and probably season tickets thrown at him. The reality is that people right now are buying I follow, yeah? But before, some people were spending £100, £200, £300 a week on travel. If you're travelling for 12 hours, your fuel getting there and back, your food getting there back. Some people stay overnight. It's a lot of money, people, to come and watch that shower of rubbish that's on there right now on that pitch. You know? Sorry, I've had enough. I want Evans to sort your head out and, a Lambert, do a decent thing, walk.
Absolutely. And people saying he won't walk on a 5-year deal. Of course, he won't walk on a 5-year deal. That'd be silly. But that's not what you say as a fan. As in Mike saying here, just walk. He knows, truthfully, he's not going to walk. Mike wouldn't walk on a 5-year plan, but he wants him to. And I think everyone can recognise that in his voice and in his passion. Neil, what would you say?
If I can interrupt a minute.
Of course you can, always.
Apologies for interrupting, but I'm just going to say one thing. I've lost my love for the club. I love the club with all of my heart, but this season I've never felt so separated from the club. You know, like the supporters club, like in my opinion, the supporters club aren't helping either. They're not on our side. The management isn't on our side. The owner isn't on our side. You know, like, again, I'm literally lost for words because I've fallen out of love with my football club. There's nothing that connects me to them anymore.
We have the supporters club chairman, Mark Ramsey, on the show Thursday night live. He will be taking your questions. He will be listening to your comments. He'll be obviously saying what he feels. So make sure you're available Thursday live, 8:30 p.m. to obviously get involved in the chat, etc., etc. That will be a really good evening, a chance for him to put forward obviously their side and listen to you guys. And just a time for all town fans to come together and discuss that very statement. I may well show him that, Benjamin, if that's okay, because that is a really...
It's going to be eye-opening for him. It's going to be really eye-opening for him because so many fans feel a similar way. As you said, it's going to be an interesting night. Can't wait for the interview.
Absolutely. I've got some comments from Paul Lambert here. He says, really pleased. They've taken nonsense criticism, makes and breaks certain youngsters. Make of that what you will. Leando says, great debate. Thank you very much. Adam Woods, Mr. Ipswich, that would be good. Is that me? Am I Mr. Ipswich? Oh,
it's probably someone in the chat.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks. Steve, what would you say to the club tonight?
It's probably a mixture, really, of what Johnny and Ben have said. The management needs changing now before it is too late. And like Ben said, I've not lost my love for the club. I'll always love the club, but there are times when I get home, especially after Saturday, I just don't even want to pull on the shirt. I can't even bring myself just to pull on the shirt. I'm just so frustrated with the club. I can't even. I don't want to think about them. I don't want to look at social media, and that's not right, you know. But yeah, like Johnny said, change is needed now before it is too late. You know, 5-year deal or not, it can't carry on like this. Even if we do end up playing dull McCarthy-style football, just something solid to get us out of the league.
I've got some quotes on the screen. It's coming up as we discuss. So far, I've got media has stoked the criticism. He believes there's too much negativity around the football club.
Oh, come on.
According, obviously, I'm not listening to this live because I'm part of this conversation.
Can't make it up.
But what I'm being told is he accused Brenner of being too negative. The criticism will break these kids, and he was really pleased with tonight's performance.
Turned into
The guy's
Donald
gone
Trump.
mad.
He's deluded.
He's lost it. He's gone mad, hasn't he?
What does he make of Mick Mills's comments week in, week out? I mean, I listened to Mick, and he's pretty much hits a nail on the head with his observations, which are on the pitch. And if Brenner's being negative, then I hate to think what he thinks about that Ipswich legend, how negative they are.
He'll never call out Mick Mills, will he? If
No.
any Ipswich legend comes out and says what Mick Mills has been saying, he'll call out Brenner and he'll call out any local journalist.
He
He'll
wouldn't
never
dare.
call out the Ipswich legends.
You know,
They wouldn't dare, no.
He's dared to ban Phil Ham, hasn't he? And he's seen the backlash for that. Can you imagine him having a bad word against Mick Mills?
Yeah, Jesus.
It's the real contrast
normal.
to the way he came in, obviously, with Mick Mills and other
His beers,
legends
all of that.
being brought in, you know, and listened to.
But he's
and Mike-
destroyed it all, Martin, now, hasn't he?
has.
I've
has.
never
Like,
known us to be so disconnected from the club.
Panicking.
Ben's love, you know, like you say, my love's gone for the club. He means he doesn't, you know, feel a part of the club anymore because it feels like it's a them and a us culture now.
Mike,
Yeah,
I can
but
see you shaking-
Evans is the problem
Mike,
with that. In my opinion, Evans has made us more disconnected because he's not like any of the other chairmen. They used to come out and used to be a lot more newsletters, a lot more sort of fan-based, family-friendly type chairman, even Chipshanks, and you know, and I think that Evans has made that situation what it is right now. You know, I agree. I feel completely. I love my club. I've loved them. I've loved it since I was 5. Since the first thing we remember watching Ipswich Town play. I just feel totally disconnected. And I tell you what, the highlight of my week is coming on. I know that's a bit sort of arse-licky, shall we say? But coming on here and listening to all you guys sort of have similar opinions, and you know, sometimes we differ, but it's without this, I think we'd all be going mad, wouldn't we? Let's be honest.
It's because your opinion gets heard, isn't it, Mike? And we don't have any of that with the club, do we?
No.
We will.
No.
I promise you, whatever happens, this will always be open to fans. This will always be the place where you can come and say what you need and feel and want to say. Whether you agree with it, whether you disagree with it in the chat, on the show, it doesn't matter. I know Neil earlier was saying how he felt McCarthy's style was this, and the chat was slightly disagreeing with what he was saying. But that's the pub atmosphere. That is the I believe this, convince me I'm wrong. And that's how it should be. And Neil, you missed the chat there, but Paul Lambert came out tonight and said that there's too much negativity around the football club. There's Brenner. I think he even criticised Brenner. Do you think there's too much negativity around the club, or do you think it's justified?
Completely justified. But with what has been said about Lambert's style of play, I can't believe what we're seeing on the pitch is what he's actually gone and asked them to do. Because if that is a joke, I can't see a man who is claiming to be as great as he is would actually send the blokes out there and ask them to do what we've witnessed
Well, he
the
comes out and
last
says
several
it.
games this season.
He comes out and says it now. He says they've done everything I've asked them to do.
I know,
They've been brilliant.
but he shouldn't, because if that's what he's asking, that is
Exactly.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
But
Points
as
fingers.
far
he
as
points fingers.
as far as asking what Evans can do to turn things around, I think he actually needs to come to the forefront a bit more. And as he's watching his pennies so tight, you would have thought he'd be down there on the training pitch actually demanding he wants more from this club so he can make more money out of us. Because
Yeah, I agree.
we need some big
Sorry.
changes.
Just going to say, but that's not me saying that, by the way. That's what he said tonight in his press.
Isn't that a problem, though, Martin, do you think, that statement there? Pressure doesn't bother me. Well, perhaps it should.
Definitely should.
The
That's
pressure's
arrogance
here.
of high order.
Yeah.
He is so arrogant.
He cares about
He did-
himself, not the club.
He doesn't see us as a big club, so the pressure I'm getting here at Little Ipswich doesn't really bother me. I think you can translate that how you want, really.
And Neil, obviously you didn't get your chance. What would you say to the football club this evening, to those involved, connected? What would you say? What is your platform now to speak? What would you say?
Well, as I started to say already, is I want the owner to take more, basically take the reins, demand more from this club, demand more of the blokes that are behind the scenes trying to push us forward. I want new members in that are actually going to take us forward. And yeah, for me, if that is purely what Lambert wants us to do on the pitch, he needs to go, because that's embarrassing.
Okay.
What Jacob
I
said
wouldn't-
there is spot on. Sorry, Neil. But what Jacob
That's
said is spot on. Just a big FU to all the fans. He's in charge, and that's what he's saying. I think that's absolutely 100% spot on.
And Rob made a good comment as well. He said he's not behaving like a man that's not under pressure, feeling the pressure. You know, banning journalists because you get the strop with them. He's basically recreating his behaviours at Villa.
Yeah,
when he
petulant child.
When he started to feel under pressure there.
Yeah.
And he's
And his
repeating
team
it
selection
again.
as well of the last couple of weeks. It's been a man shuffling the pack, trying to find something that works, not a man that is known his strongest 11. Because Paul Hurst did that towards the end of his tenure as well. Was shuffling that pack so fast and so furious.
Well, I'm glad he has, because you know what, Dobra come on tonight and he tried, and there's some bright sparks there, but obviously he was trying it, but he can't do it all, can he? He can't do it all, and I just think, and I honestly do believe it's the formation that's killing us. I honestly believe that he keeps trying it. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. It was it 4-4-1-1 tonight, when it. I mean,
it was a clusterfuck. What it was.
But he hasn't got any other ideas. And all right, you can say that another manager come in and the players have got to take responsibility for this. But a change is as good as anything, because it just boosts the players. Because if they are getting a little bit lazy and go, oh, fuck you, Paul. You treat me like shit. I'm not going to try hard for you. When a new manager comes in, it's a clean slate for everybody.
Yeah.
And the Corrie and Darbers, come back into the fray, and all these players that are sitting there in the background will try in it. And sometimes there's that little boost you need to kick you on. And I think changes. You don't necessarily need more players, but a fresh face to come in and say, right, clean slate. And then and away you go again. Gives you the kick, but we never have that clean slate mid-season. People say, "Oh, it's too risky to change something now." Well, I'll be honest with you, I'll take a risk personally.
Yeah, I think you have to. You can't really disagree with too much of that there. But I mean, I know it's Manchester United, but Sir Alex Ferguson won the title in his last year with a squad that was nowhere near good enough to win that title, but he did. Every manager since then has failed, but they've sacked the manager because they can't sack 22 players.
He's good at man management. He's a tactician, and he demands a lot, and the stature of the club. That is all riding on the players, and they know where they stand.
Players respect him too, Neil.
It's basically, we're just here for a free ride, so we'll do what we want.
And so right now, as Johnny was saying, you can't sack 15 players. you can only sack really one. That's the manager, because sacking 15 costs too much, and that's why managers get sacked all the time, perhaps unfairly sometimes, because you can't sack all the squad. And my problem we're not performing to a man
with talking formations is I can't really see formation change making that much difference in the long run. If the players are going to go out there and fall asleep and allow players through, do all their missed touches, allows the other team lots of space, just do aimless balls up the pitch, do a little bit of tapping around at the back, you can play whatever formation you want. That style of play is not going to win you games.
Okay, and as we close up, obviously Andre's out for Saturday. He's suspended.
Brilliant.
What would you do? Who would you replace Andre with? Would you change I know obviously you'll change formation, but I want to round up the show now. So what would you do for Saturday? We'll go to Ben first.
I honestly haven't, because I don't know what Lambert's going to do. He's so unpredictable at this point. Like, what was Unholy playing in goal? I mean, that's a different debate in itself. But yeah, I don't know. Dobra earlier, you could play him there. McGavin, I think McGavin's injured though. I'm not quite sure about that. But honestly, I don't know. I haven't a clue who he would play there instead.
I have.
Go on, him.
Judge. He'll put Judge in.
It's going to be Judge, isn't it?
But would
Been
you
awful.
put Judge in, Johnny?
No, I wouldn't put Judge in the whole squad.
Okay. Who would you
No
put
legs.
in then? You've got injuries, so who would you put in? This is what he's facing: injury.
So I don't know if McGavin's injured or he's just been dropped out of the squad completely. I don't know.
I
don't know.
have to be honest. I've not listened to him this week. I couldn't face it. So
I would actually have to put Judge in. If Andre's out, I would have to put Judge in.
Okay, Mike.
I'd put McGavin in if I could, rather than
If he was
rather
fit,
than
I'd
Judge.
put McGavin in.
If he was fit, yeah, 100%.
And if
Yeah,
he's not
no
fit,
two
who
ways
would you put
about it. Oh, I think
It's painful, isn't it?
Oh,
Mike?
no, oh, God, yeah, because the trouble is that in the back of your mind, I'm thinking about my formations, but I've got in reality is I got to think how Paul would do it. I think he'd probably bring Judge in as much as that's what he would do. I wouldn't, but that's what he's going to do. He's going to bring Judge in, isn't he? He's going to keep. Oh God, that's what Lambert's going to do.
He could help himself by going 4-4-2, but he won't. So.
No. Do you know what? If we were losing games or playing crap with 4-4-2, and he's saying, right, fans, okay, you've said you want that, okay, so I will for a couple of 3 games, we still lose. I guess then we could start putting the point across that, yeah, it's maybe the players ain't good enough, but he's not even giving it a go. He's just McCarthy on his last season.
How about McGuinness in midfield, Neil? Ball winner, defender, could be a tough tackler in there. He didn't like that one, did he? He didn't like that one. Well, there you go. What a way to end. Right, we'll end it there because that you can't.
Oh, wait, one question. I'm going to ask you this every time. Lambert in or out, Martin? Oh, look at that face. Such a cutie.
Thank you very much.
Blushing.
I think it's time to go, isn't it?
Oh, yes, finally, we've got a admission. Well done, my man.
Hey, do you mean
time
for him to go, or time for us all to go?
I
What
think
is he
it's
saying?
He's
We'll
probably
have
had
to find
enough.
out. But I'll see you Thursday, 8:30 live. Mark Ramsey, Supporters Trust Chairman, on
You
the show.
bottled it, mate.